Hi guys. This lighting is terrible. Oh gosh. Okay. Let me share my video as usual. I look so different today. What is it about me? Like maybe I'm tanner? I don't know. My hair is kind of all over the place. Anyway, let me share this video on my business pages and then we'll get started. Yay, thanks for the likes. Say hi guys when you come on. I love when people say hi. Okay. Yay, Julia. So happy to see you. Okay, just sharing my stuff, guys, and we'll start. One second. Okay. Cool. Yay, I see new people coming on. If you're new, say hi, introduce yourself. I'm about to introduce myself. My name is Justine Leslie. If you don't know who I am, I'm an intuitive and spiritual coach. I do a lot of things. Mostly I help with healing through intuition, spirituality, Eastern philosophy, and universal law, so you can live a life of freedom and truth. I also deal with support in the areas of spiritual awakening, and I'm a little off-centered here. And empathic support, right? One of my favorite topics is talking about being an empath, which is someone who absorbs energy very deeply. Could be very, very difficult to... something's going on over here. It could be very, very difficult to sometimes navigate the world as a highly, highly sensitive person. So I deal with a lot of support in that area, and also being an empath. If you are an empath, you understand it comes with a lot of intuitive, highly intuitive gifts, which can be a little bit difficult as well. So that's what I'm here for too. So our topic today is actually in the realm of being empathic. Empathic. And I've been really thinking about this topic because I was in a group the other day, and some coach, who I adore, by the way, and this is not a right or wrong situation, but made a comment about when you're empathic, you're stuck in victim mode. And I've also read in other groups and things like that, when you're empathic, it's like a deficiency of some kind, and we look at it in a negative way, and like it's a burden, or it's something that we choose to be. I do, if you follow me, you understand my beliefs, my spiritual beliefs, that we are the creator of our own lives, and we do get to choose a lot more than what we think we don't have control over. But our emotional archetype is something that we actually don't have control over, but the control comes in the form of how we deal with our emotional archetype as an empath. Are you going to choose to be empowered, or are you going to choose to be disempowered? And that's what I want to talk about today, because there's actually two different types. Thanks for the likes and the hearts, guys. Yeah, and if this resonates with you, please, give me the hearts and likes. I'd love to see it. If you have any questions or comments or anything, you can just drop them in the comment box. I love when it's interactive. So just, if there's something you want to say, please say it. So there's a difference between being empowered with who you are and being disempowered. And, I was in a meditation this morning and kind of came up with this list, and I wanted to share it with you. So in order to figure out if you're the empowered empath, I want to talk about what it means to be disempowered. And you may resonate with these. And as I go along, if you do resonate with these, the main thing I'd like to just make very, very clear to you is that this is not a space, and this is not a teaching to disempower you even more, or for you to beat yourself up. If you find yourself under some of these disempowering beliefs, it's okay. I always speak about self-compassion because it is super, super important to have it especially when it comes to the healing process. That's probably your best friend during the healing process, because beating yourself up and creating more of those negative emotions really do nothing for the healing process. It really hinders you even more. So we're really talking about moving forward, healing, and we need to have that self-compassion in place for any of it to actually begin. So if your intention is in the right place, where or in a positive place where you want to get to a place of being empowered as opposed to disempowered, that's a great mindset to be in, because we're looking forward to the future. We're looking at intentions and goals, and that's really kind of the mindset that you want to be in. Beating ourselves up is absolutely going to do nothing for you except hinder your progress. So keep that in mind before I go through this list. So, excuse me, guys. So what does it mean to be disempowered? I made this list, and so let me reiterate before I go into it one more time about being an empath. You feel energy very, very deeply. How we deal with how we feel that energy is really everything, and that's the difference between the disempowering and the empowering. We tend to be more open, vulnerable, sensitive than other people, than the typical. And I want to, before going into this list, reiterate again that it is not a bad thing. It is a very good thing to be open, because, and I just put this on my Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram, the world needs us more open. And empaths exist, from my experience and my beliefs, and from my knowing, my inner knowing, and my inner sensing, my inner knowing, my inner truth, is that empaths are here on this earth, and more of us are waking up to this emotional archetype, because we need more of us in the world. And we need more compassion, we need more empathy, we need all of that stuff to create more consciousness in this world. So we are part of, thank you for reminding me to stay open. Oh, yay! Yes, totally. Not the easiest thing, right? But we can stay open. That's kind of like the point too, right? Is that we can stay open, vulnerable, sensitive, and still be empowered beings. And that's the beauty of this live today. So let me just get into it, because I'm getting too excited about it. So let me go into the first thing. When you are in a disempowering place as an empath, you are going to constantly feel drained. That means that we're not aware. And by the way, a lot of this disempowering stuff has a lot to do with your level of awareness. When I've been an empath my whole life, but I didn't realize the things that I was doing my whole life were, pretty much coming from a disempowered place. I always felt drained because I didn't have the correct boundaries, or even know what the correct boundaries were, right? To have me feeling emotionally free, to be able to, have high energy and be able to accomplish things that I want to accomplish, even get up in the morning, right? Like, there are times in my life where I have given away so much of my energy that I couldn't even get out of bed for the day. And that's like an extreme case, but it does happen. So, I always bring up when I'm talking about empathic support is fill your own cup first. It's so, so important. Put your own, what's another thing? Oh yeah, put your own oxygen mask on before you help another person. I don't know if that's the exact analogy, but you guys know what I'm talking about, hopefully. But it's always important to be able to take care of yourself first, because that's the way we take care of other people. We need to be high energy to be able to do the things that we were sent to do. It's almost an oxymoron if you come to this earth as an empath and you're here, you're a healer, you're intuitive, you have all these great gifts to share, but at the end of the day you can't share them because your energy is so drained. So it's so, so, so important. And guys, just so you know, you're gonna have to conserve your energy a lot more than the typical person. And that's, sometimes people take my attempt to keep boundaries personally. Yes, I agree. And that's what I want to get to about this, is that a lot of people are going to think you're dramatic. A lot of people are going to think that you're being extreme, but you only know what's best for you. You know what drains you and what doesn't drain you, and you know by the way it feels. So you have to understand that what you're doing is the best thing for you. And it's your life, right? So you know what drains you and what doesn't. Just feel into it for sure. Okay, so the second thing when you're in a disempowering place is that you will notice in your relationships you are very, very codependent. Now, codependency, I don't really have a real definition for it, but it's kind of like linked to trying to find an external source to fill you up, basically. So codependency happens a lot in relationships, romantic relationships especially, but I've also seen it in families too, right? Where, you're relying a lot on, someone else to give you value or tell you how wonderful you are or to love you, which, by the way, guys, we give love. We are, I love this quote. Hold on, let me think. Let me get it right. We are what we love, not what loves us. So just remember that. There's no amount of love that we could receive that will change who we are, meaning that we are love at all times, and we are what we love, not what loves us. Just throwing that out there. So hopefully that helps with a little bit of codependency tendencies. So for me, I come from a background of being very, very codependent in relationships, which is why I'm not in them often, because I feel like I get engulfed in them so much. I'm wanting to make the other person happy. I tend to mold into the other person's life. I tend to rely a lot on the other person telling me, hello, I'm late, but I'll watch replay. Yay, Melinda! I'm just glad you're here. So, you tend to grasp on to the other person's energy, and it's a lot. It's a lot for empaths. And I know it could be really, really hard being in a relationship because sometimes you find that you lose yourself. And that's part of the codependency. So the more you are aware of codependent patterns, the more you can break them and be more empowered in that space. So the next one is, and it kind of goes along with the codependency, at least from my experience, is when you're in a disempowered place, you are attracted to narcissists. And in my experience, for me, sometimes empaths are in a place where they don't have a lot of self-love for themselves, or believe that they deserve better, or we tend to give people the benefit of the doubt. We tend to love very, very deeply. And most of the time, empaths really, really have this deep yearning to save other people. And who else needs saving but someone that kind of has a lost soul? And those are usually narcissists, psychopaths, sociopaths. So it makes sense that when you're in a disempowered place, you'd be more attracted to narcissists. But as I'll go into what empowered means, you'll actually not have any desire to be around those types of people, those types of personalities, and you'll actually be very, very turned off by that. So that's one way to see the shift from disempowered to empowered. The next one is, I kind of went into it a little bit, about the confidence part. Being in a disempowered place, a lot of empaths don't have a lot of confidence for themselves. From my experience and other people that I've worked with, they drain us. Oh, they sure do. They sure do. Energy vampires, right? We tend to not have confidence. We tend to see having confidence is something that's egotistical, and I know as an empath we really kind of shy away, and really that's like the last thing that we want to do is be associated with the ego. So a lot of the times we're not confident because we associate it with that, which is actually not true. If you're in a more empowered place, you could you are able to see confidence as a really, really good thing, because you can be confident and humble, right? And there's nothing wrong with being humble. That's a really great quality to have. It falls in on the positive side of emotions. So, and then when you're not confident, you tend to be a people pleaser, and that kind of goes into codependency a little bit, right? You always want to make sure the other person is happy before you, right? Like you're putting their needs in front of you. When it goes back to, again, that's, the number one way to drain your energy is to continuously try to fill somebody else's cup when you have nothing to give, right? So I think it's important to recognize being a people pleaser. And then also fear of saying no. I've been practicing this a lot lately because I'm trying to get myself in a more aligned place in my business, in my career, in my life, my romantic life, all of that good stuff, how I want to live my life. And I've been practicing saying no, getting more into an empowered place. Gotta go. Sorry, I'll watch later. Oh, no problem. Thanks for coming. I've been practicing saying no, and I've been practicing saying no to things that I know no longer serve me. And it's a really, really empowering step to take, because like I've said before, there's many reasons why we're on this planet. As human beings, we've evolved into human beings. It's one of them is to feel good. So for people that live their lives, that go to jobs that they hate, or are friends with people that they don't really like, who really put them in terrible situations, drains their energy, etc., etc. The reason why there is no real quote unquote good reason why this is happening. We are just afraid, like empaths are afraid to hurt other people's feelings for the most part. And I think it's really, really important to kind of switch that mindset around. Because, it comes down to self-care. And that's another thing. A lot when you're in a disempowering place as an empath, self-care is not exactly on the top of the list. But so happy to hear you speak about the flaws about the narcissist as well as the empath. We definitely track them because you have yet to know our own worth. Yes. And we're afraid to know our own worth, right? Because, I think it comes down to, we associate it with the ego kind of thing, confidence with the ego. So, so practicing saying no to things that no longer serve you. There's no point in this life to continue to do the things that don't make you feel good. It doesn't make a lot of sense from an empowering place. So if you do anything this week, try doing that. I mean, it's like you'll see a shift in your life. You'll see some transformation happening as far as how you feel about yourself. It's very interesting. The last thing, being disempowered, I talked about this topic for a while. I did 2 Facebook Lives on it. I did a topic about isolation versus solitude. And there's an actual difference. The difference isn't between it, it's the intention. And for disempowered empaths, we tend to run away and isolate ourselves from the situations that are happening. Now, it's different from putting ourselves in solitude, because one is fear-based, right? The isolation is fear-based, and then the solitude is actually all the positive emotions, right? When empaths go into solitude, for the most part, it's a choice, and being alone re-energizes us, so it's actually pleasant, it's pleasurable. But when it comes to isolation and just, I've been in a disempowering place where everything was just so overwhelming that it was hard for me to leave the house. That was me in an isolating situation. So if I can turn it around and, choose solitude as far as the intention as, re-energizing, then, when I, step away from a situation, it's actually a positive, not a negative. So hopefully that makes sense. So I just went through a lot of the disempowering beliefs as far as empaths go. So let me just quickly go into, it's pretty much the opposite of what I said, right? The ways to be empowered being an empath. So the first one is, you know what you want, right? There's not, there's no real codependency there of trying to figure out, where you fit in this life. You're not asking. For me, guys, when I was growing up, in my 20s, I would ask every single person, every single question about my life. Oh, should I have the chicken or the steak? Should I go to college for this or this? I would ask other people decisions about my life. I was never looking inward. And it's so funny because I'm very, very intuitive, and I was being screamed at for so many years, and I was just ignoring it, because when it comes to being disempowered, there's a lot of being naive that comes with it, and that's what it is. And it's a certain level of not being aware, and that's definitely what I was for a very long time before my spiritual awakening. So knowing what you want, knowing, even if you don't know what you want, you know where to go, right? And that means in, right? You don't go to outside sources to find the answers. So it's a very, very empowering way to live as an empath. What else? You know that you are the creator of your own life, right? You're a master manifester. Guys, I have been writing in my journal every single morning, manifesting, writing down what I wanted to manifest. 2 things have already happened in the last 2.5 weeks. Like, once you figure out and decide what the desire is, and then you make it clear to the universe, it will happen. You just need to get out of your own way to understand that there might be a block there of you receiving it, but you can get anything that you want. And that's a really, really empowered belief. Honestly, not just for empaths, right? This is for everybody. If you really, really, really focus on what you desire and then ask the universe for it, it will deliver, is what I'm looking for. So that's a both empath thing and, you know, just for life, just so you know. Excuse me. Next thing is that you're full of energy. You know when to protect yourself and when to shield yourself. You know what situations to put yourself in. You know what you can handle. That kind of thing. You've learned. You understand. You know what drains you, what doesn't drain you, what empowers you, what disempowers you. So you're actually in a place where you know your energy very, very well. Let's see. And we talked about the lack of confidence as a disempowering. Obviously, when you're empowered, you feel more confident and clear about the decisions that you make. Tons of clarity, tons of going in, tons of listening to your intuition, inner guidance, all of that good stuff. Oh, this is a good one. When you are an empowered empath, like I said, you come with a lot of intuitive gifts, right? Intuitive abilities. Part of that is creativity. So we have so much creativity, it's like insane. Like, you need to find a creative outlet that will empower you or be able to fulfill that part of your life. I've seen it a lot with empaths. It's very, very rare that someone doesn't have a creative side to them. So they use it purposefully, right? They use their creativity in a way that's very, on purpose, on a path, an aligned path. That's what I'm looking for. And then the last thing is an empowered empath. Now, there's something about an empath that you should also know, and you probably relate if you are one, is that it's very, very important for us to do work that is very purpose-driven and passionate. And it has to have a meaning to us, and it has to fulfill us. And I know for me, in the past, I have had jobs that do not do any of those things. And after a while, I can do it for about a year, but then I get physically sick. And I know that happens to a lot of empaths, right? They can't even get to that place where they're in a job. At least I could fake it for a while, right? But I'm past those days for the most part. And an empowered empath can and knows that they can create income from their passions. They just know it, because it's actually true, and it goes back to what I was talking about manifesting, is that if you truly desire something, so if you truly desire to make money from a gift that you have, and you really, really want it, and you don't have any blocks about receiving it, it'll happen for you. I guarantee it'll happen for you, because we're not born with dreams and passions for absolutely no reason. And this is really universal law, because we're not given a dream unless we have the power to fulfill it, because nothing that happens in the universe universally is by accident. There are no accidents. So everything is kind of happening for a reason, and happening in our favor if we choose to look at it that way. So that's really, really important. And that's a really empowering thing, because you never feel stuck. Right? And even if you're at a job right now where you don't really like it and it's not exactly, passion and purpose filled, the actual knowing that you can create an income from your passion is really all it takes to create an empowering belief as an empath. So, okay, that was a lot. I know. Oh, gosh. So you can see the difference. I don't believe being an empath is, part of playing a victim. I do believe that it is a part of our emotional archetype, and I also do believe, like I mentioned earlier, that people are empaths for a reason, and that reason is to create a new world. And if you're an empath, you're most likely a light worker, which means that it's just a group of souls that have come to this earth to create light from dark. And like I said, most empaths are light workers, so I believe that the world is waking up, and we do need more empaths in this world. We need you to be open. We need you to be raw, vulnerable, sensitive, because the world right now, if there's anything that we need, it's more empathy in this world. And what better way for empaths who tend to feel more deeply than other people, than typical people, to start this revolution, this spiritual revolution, I like to call it. So that's that. And if you're thinking, and this is a disempowering belief, by the way, if you're thinking that being sensitive is a curse and it's not a gift, then you are obviously in the disempowering state of mind, because the truth is, it is a gift. And a lot of people don't get to feel very deeply. And it's for me, what I have found is that, and I'm speaking a lot about this, apathy, just, not having any, good, positive, negative feelings towards anything. It just is a feeling of just not a good feeling. And empathy is a superpower. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, for sure. And it's definitely something that we really, really need more than ever in this world right now. So consider yourself blessed for having this superpower. And if we can kind of do our shift from disempowering to empowering, think of all the things that we can accomplish in this world. So yeah, cool. Hopefully that was helpful for everybody. If anybody has any questions or anything, you can message me. But as far as this all goes, I just want to reiterate, because I said in the beginning, self-compassion, guys. If you find yourself more in the disempowering part of things, please, the worst thing that you can do at this point is beat yourself up about it. Guilt, shame, all of those emotions, all those negative emotions are completely useless to your growth, to your transformation. So let's just have some self-compassion for ourselves and set the intention to get into a more empowering place, and watch the miracles and the magic happen. So, all right, guys, I will be on tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining. I don't know what tomorrow's topic will be. We will see. But to everybody watching the replay, thanks for watching, and have a blessed day, guys. I know it's nighttime for some people, but for me, it's the beginning of the day. But have a blessed day, blessed night, and thank you so much for joining. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.